Hello and welcome to the Fantasy Beer Name Podcast, episode 18. I'm Chris.
I'm Paul. 18?
18.
Jesus.
Is that right? 18. I think that's right. That is right.
That's a lot of podcast episodes. We're not as lazy as I think we are.
We're doing quite well.
Yeah, good. Awesome. How are you?
I'm good. First, can I get this out of the way? This podcast is sponsored by our friends at Mosaic Board Printers, Europe's leading beer mat manufacturer.
Aggressive.
Yeah, I'm pointing at that camera over there.
Yeah, nice. Your sales pitch is getting more classic
Aggressive.
80s.
Yeah.
Door-to-door salesman. I like it.
That's what I'm here for.
Would you like to buy some PVC windows? Why not?
Why? Yeah. I missed the 80s. I was only 3 when I was... No, what? I was
only 3 when I was 3.
I was only 3 when I was born, is what I was going to say. I
was only 3 throughout the 80s.
Yeah, what I meant to say is I only had 3 years in the 80s.
Yeah.
But they were probably the best 3 years of my life.
Do you remember that 10 years you were 3?
Yeah.
Oh,
God. That's thoroughly exhausting.
Then you just had to get older much quicker in a short amount of time, didn't you?
Oh, right. Should we have a beer?
Do we need one?
Oh, well.
Yes, let's have a beer.
Remarkably, the only thing that we've drunk so far is a little sharer of People, Money, Space, Time.
Yeah.
So we have absolutely no excuses right now.
It's feeling a bit daft, really.
Yeah. It's been a month since we've done the last one.
I'm just cracking open a duration. Nice. So this is out of your very own fridge, isn't it? And this is called Turtles All the Way Down, and it's 5.5% IPA.
Oh, that's a nice name.
I like duration.
Big fans of duration. The bruiser box that I had of theirs, which is where that comes from, it was an absolute banger. Loads of different styles in there, all done exceptionally well. But I kind of feel that, it should have been, because duration kind of already have a really good reputation, don't they?
Yeah, they're really good. And this looks...
what is this?
It doesn't look particularly hazy. It looks a bit of a Westie / New England hybrid, like all the cool kids are doing now.
Like when they say those bright beers.
Bright beers.
Bright pale. Bright IPA.
They are definitely de rigueur at the moment, aren't they? Bright
they
beers.
are. We should do more about those.
It doesn't say what hops are in this, so we'll just pretend.
Why I order.
It's probably Citra.
Probably Mosaic in there. Or I can't really tell. I'm not getting much on the...
cheers anyway.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, that's nice. Fresh.
Let me try it.
Ooh, lemony.
That's lovely.
Lemony schnicket. Nice.
It's soft, juicy and tropical.
As you'd expect.
Which is exactly what the can told me to say.
So what are we doing today?
Oh, today. Well, we're checking in again because it's been a month, so...
A whole month. We're getting older.
We are getting older. We've got plenty of things to cover in the news. There's been a lot going on in the news. And considering what happened with the last episode, where we called it like the Portman Group suck, it seemed to be the episode went well. It seems like people want more news. Yeah. So maybe it could actually be the time to, with Legend Steve's blessing, retire the Doom Bar as a name and kind of encompass more than just bad news.
And just make it a general state of the nation kind of thing, I guess. Yeah.
State of the Brewing.
So sorry, Steve. We're gonna get rid of Doom Bar. We'll use it for something else. We'll think of.
Well, I mean, there's still bad news stories in there.
Yeah, I know.
This is beer.
I know, but I want to use the Doom Bar specifically.
Oh yeah, okay.
For something.
Maybe it could be its own podcast for our Patreons.
Yeah.
Before we get into that, we need to talk about the fantasy beer name.
Oh yeah.
But I've got a good one.
Keep forgetting me do that,
I've got a good one. Yeah, it's kind of... It feels that we just need to carry this on now, otherwise we need to rename the podcast.
Yeah.
So let's try and stick to it.
Go on then.
But what I've decided to pick here is something that's actually relevant to what have we been up to, which is why I pulled you back there.
And also we agreed the second this was said, I think at the time, that it was going to be the name of our next podcast.
Yeah.
Because we were both there.
Oh, we were there. So this episode 18, is called Pull Handles on Push Doors.
Pull handles on push doors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What a stupid, bloody turn of events that is.
It's a terrible idea.
Terrible idea.
I mean, let's give this a bit of
Put some meat on the bones, Chris.
Bit of context, a bit of meat of context.
Around the bone of fact.
Let's go. What were we up to?
Bone of fact. Napoleon Bonaparte. Right, so we went to Manchester on a day trip, didn't we? With our mate Johnny T.
Yep.
The Taymeister.
The Taymeister, as they call him.
John 3.75 Taylor.
Yeah. He gave the trip to Manchester
3.75. This is the best beer I've ever had, 3.75. Yeah. Literal perfection, 3.75. So we jumped on a train to Manchester. Well, more specifically, Salford.
Yes.
Because the reason we were going up there for the day was to visit a tap room, which I've never been to.
I'd never been either.
You'd never been. John had been a few times.
He's been everywhere.
And if you live in Manchester or you know Manchester, you'll probably know it. Jules.
Is it Jules?
Or is it Jewel?
Jewel.
Is it Jewel Tap Room or Jules' Tap Room?
Jewel Tap. Okay, it's Jewel.
Yeah. He'll probably shout at us for that.
Yeah. So it's run by Kev and his wife.
Yeah. What a cracking little place that was.
It's so cool. Yeah.
Kind of ruined it immediately though when I barged straight through, leading us in, and I grabbed hold of the handle and pulled the glass door, almost ripping it off his hinges.
It was the fact that like you walked up to the door, and I mean I did kind of see the handwritten note that just says push.
I mean it was pretty hard to spot though. That was.
Yeah, but I mean, but equally, you know, the architecture of a thing like that. Your brain is paying attention to the door handle, not what you should be reading or may not be reading.
Yeah.
So you grabbed the handle and you should have pushed, but you started pulling, and it reminded me of that I Think You Should Leave sketch. Tim Robinson's pulling. You weren't dribbling, but yeah, so you were pulling it, and you managed to get it open to a point where we could slide in. And Kev, the gaffer of the joint, is just stood there, and
he's a big bloke, is Kev.
He sees you doing that, and then he just goes, "It says push, for fuck's sake!" And you're like, "Oh, hello."
Thanks for the warm welcome. It turns out wasn't the first, or indeed the last person.
No,
because he spent the next 3 hours going, "For fuck's sakes!"
Pretty much, yeah.
Push.
It says push. But yeah, it was. We're there for the Evil Twin tap takeover, and it was absolutely heaving. We thought we got there in good time.
It was a small place as well, but it was rammed.
It was
hot and rammed. So yeah, they had an Evil Twin tap takeover, and everything was super strength. Really, I think they had a couple of non-Evil Twin beers on. Like they had a Glass House, I think, was on, which was about, if you were lucky, 5.5%, 6%, but everything was kind of 8% plus, going into like stupid ABV, like 15%ers, I think, for the big stout.
My wallet took an absolute belting.
Oh God, it was expensive.
We had to sit outside because there was no seating inside.
Initially, yes.
But then thankfully, someone else who is on Instagram, another beer Instagrammer, who recognised us.
We got recognised.
Yes. But he should have pulled, and he actually pushed. So because he was coming out.
Yeah.
So
yeah. He said, "Are you guys from Planet Beer TV?" And we said, "Look, just keep it down, mate.
Yeah.
There will be like a mob if you shout that up."
Such a
just. Do you not know how many craft beer pop lord nerds around here will be swarmed, but like the Beatles?
Yeah. But in Manchester, yeah.
So we got invited in by Phil and Amy, Lancashire
beer drinkers.
I'll have a quick look. What we're talking.
I'll flash there.
Flash there. The Lang's Crafty Beer Drinkers.
There we go. Absolutely lovely couple.
Yeah, so we got invited to their table, and we sat with them and their big group of friends, and we proceeded to get completely pissed.
Yeah.
And it didn't end when we completed the taps either. Then one of their buddies pulled out a really cool looking bottle of stout, and I forget. I think it was Scandinavian. I
He
think
got it from Denmark.
it was Denmark, wasn't it? And he brought it over from Denmark. So he whipped out a sharing bottle for everybody, which we tried, which was gorgeous. And then we felt obliged to buy one back.
Well, it started to happen then, didn't
And
it?
then
It's like,
that
oh,
triggered
God.
a chain of people just buying really expensive bottles of stout. So we were smashed by the time we left there.
Yeah, and then we just went to some other places.
Yep. I had to leave a bit early as well because I had to get back.
We went to go and check out the Pomona Island place.
Oh, did you go there? Or did I go there?
Yeah.
Did I?
The gas lamp.
Is that Pomona Island?
Yeah.
You sure? I think it's just a gas lamp.
No, it's their pub.
Is it really?
Pomona Island pub.
I had no idea it was Pomona.
When
I know
in
we
the-
went to the gas lamp.
Yeah, we went to the gas lamp and we ordered a Barlow of something and the guy was just not having it.
Yeah, John
was
saying, "Can I have a Barlow of XYZ?" And he was like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "You're from Manchester, mate. You should know what a Barlow is."
I think he knew what a Barlow was, but he was
Yeah.
like, no, we've got these glasses. We've got straight glasses. We haven't got Barlows.
Yeah, so we were anti-Barlowed, but then we ended up at track for one, and then I had to go and get the train.
One. We had three in there.
I had
three,
one.
We had three dippers. No, you didn't.
I had one.
You didn't because you left with us.
No, I left track. I had one and left.
Yeah, you had three with us.
No, I had one. I promise you, I had one.
Oh God, what a mess! And then
Now, this is probably, Chris, why you fell off the train.
I did.
Here.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I fell off the train.
I mean, I was absolutely smashed by the time I hit the train, and I had real problems getting on it. So got to Manchester Piccadilly. You know, you're that kind of drunk where
Yeah,
but you don't,
yes.
everything's functioning, but your brain just isn't letting you do things you want to do, and it's like you're very much aware of the fact that you're more drunk than you want to be, so you're not really enjoying it. So, like, I was trying to work out where to get the train to Wolverhampton, and I stared at that sign for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I swear to God. And then I found Wolverhampton, and it said a number next to it, which I'm assuming was the platform. But my brain wasn't letting me comprehend that. And then I went through the turnstiles to get into the train station, got on the train, and then I thought, this doesn't sound right to me. And I asked the guy there if this was the train to Wolverhampton, and he just went, no. It's Sheffield. And I went, great.
Sheffield.
So I got off the train, and then I eventually found out where my train was going from, but I just missed it. So I staggered back out, got a coffee, and felt okay. Walked back to the turnstiles, couldn't find my ticket to get back in. Just couldn't find it. Noticed that one of the turnstiles was open, so I said, fuck it, I'll make a run for it. And I ran through, and I got collared by this. I was going to call him a job's worth, but he was literally just doing his job. You know, and he grabbed me and said, hey, where are you going? I said, look, I'll level with you. I've lost my ticket.
Well, you're going to have to buy a new one then, Paul.
That's exactly what he sounded like. But Bayek!
Bayek. You have to buy another one.
But I showed him my ticket from Wolverhampton to Manchester, and he was having none of it. And then he called security over.
Fuck.
And luckily, this guy heard all the commotion, and he walked up and said, "Is this your ticket?" And he found my ticket lying on the floor.
God damn it!
Just a few meters away from me, which fell out of my pocket.
And just for people out there saying, why isn't it just on your phone? Johnny T works in the trains, and he managed to get us a good deal on the trains. But the thing was, we had to be with him for the deal to count. So therefore, it was all paper tickets,
yeah,
like in the old days.
Yeah, got back eventually though, and it's fine. All sobered up. But
while you were doing that,
yeah, you were falling off.
Me and him were having another two dippers in track because I thought you were there. And then we went to Cloudwater. I don't know what we drank there, but we had something. And then we realised that we had to get the train back. And also that we just had enough.
Yeah.
Went onto the train. Absolutely no problems getting onto it. All good. But we were trying to find a space where we could sit. So we went onto one of the things. And then John, obviously, because he works in the trains, is like, let's go down to the front. There's going to be more seats there. So I was just following him. But then he was like, let's get off onto the platform, then walk up because it's going to be quicker than having to wade through all these dickheads. So I just, again, followed him, jumped off the train. But my legs didn't necessarily anticipate the
drop.
the step that was coming or the drop, and I just face planted, ripped my knees up real good. I mean, I went with a proper thud as well. I have no idea if people saw it. I just quickly...
I should imagine they did in Manchester Piccadilly.
Yeah. I just got up.
It's quite busy on a Saturday night.
Followed John. But I remember thinking the next day, I got back in an Uber from Wolverhampton, but I don't remember anything about the train ride.
Yeah.
And that's because apparently as soon as I got on there, I just fell asleep on John.
I've seen the photos.
Yeah.
You fell asleep literally on him.
Yeah, I was like...
Yeah, slumped over.
I look like a right hobo.
He was taking lots of photos of you slumped. Yeah.
Bless him.
Fair play to John. He was compass mentis.
Yeah, it's a good job he stayed awake, because we would have ended up in... Christ, where was it? Brighton or something.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It was one of those trains.
Slight detour.
Yeah, but it was, all in all, an absolutely chaotic but fun, enjoyable.
It was good. Very, very brief. So, yeah, we'll have to go back up to Manchester and do it properly, because I love that city when it comes to beer.
And then only 5 days after that, 5 days after that, we ended up doing the Baron Ziggy Stardog beer launch. But we're not going to talk too much about that on this, because we have a live stream coming up for that on the 22nd of March at 7:30 on our YouTube. We will be hosting Jack Barron himself. He's going to come along for a little virtual Meet the Brewers session. So it'll be kind of like the reverse of what we did.
We did the live one in front of a very small audience, in a very small room in a very small bottle shop. But yeah, this will be a virtual thing. I think Brews has sold all their boxes.
The boxes are all gone.
Yeah, so that's good. So
fantastic.
as we did,
boxes gone.
As we did last time with their collaboration box, they did their Project X box, should I say? Yeah, we'll do a live stream with them and Jack Barron, and it's going to be a right laugh. So yeah, come and join us.
Good time. Come and join us. And on that note, let's. I'm going to open another bit. I'm absolutely.
You know what we forgot though. So before we go into the next segment,
who brews it?
Yeah. So we've decided that this episode is called Pull Handles on Push Doors.
So that's a beer called Pull Handles on Push Doors.
And you messaged me in a panic earlier and said, "Oh God, who brews this? Who would brew this?" And then you said Pomona Island, I think. So now we did that last time.
Yeah, because I was thinking Pomona Island would be good because it kind of sounds like that, and they're also from Manchester. So yeah. And then you were like, no, they had wheelbarrow antics last time.
Yeah. So I did a quick skirt through my Untappd just to see if there's any breweries with similar sounding names. And literally, I looked at that Saturday, an Evil Twin.
Evil Twin
have, all their beers have like long, ridiculous sounding names.
Excellent.
So it fits quite nicely.
Actually, there was a really good one, and I can't remember.
Yeah, it's like a full paragraph.
Yeah, it was like
their beer titles. Yeah. So we'll be 10 Pull Handles on Push Doors is an Evil Twin beer.
Yeah, and I reckon it needs to be a deceptive looking style.
Yeah.
So something that you look at and think, oh, that's going to be that. And then you're like, oh shit, that's completely different. Kind of like pulling a push door handle.
Nice.
So I'm going to say Black IPA.
Yeah, Black IPA is good.
Because you might go, oh, what's that lovely porter you've got there? Oh my God, this is a Black IPA.
How many accents did you just go through then? It was remarkable.
I don't know.
That was like a trip round England, that was.
Well, anyway, on our next little visit to England, we're going over to Suffolk. Well, we're staying in Suffolk, I think, because aren't Duration also from Suffolk?
They're they're in Norfolk, yeah, you're right, yeah.
Are they Norfolk?
Norfolk.
Oh, so we're taking a trip down East Anglia now to Suffolk.
Yep.
To Burnt Mill Brewery. Now, I love Burnt Mill.
I love Burnt Mill.
I'm going to use this opportunity here to mention that we need to start talking a bit about our Patreon, because we've launched it. Yeah,
we have launched it, and it's gone pretty good, really, considering we've only really done...
We've got
one quick promo. We've had a handful of patrons come on already.
It's going to be slow going. I know that, because it's a tricky one. It's a tough world at the moment.
We've got a handful of paid patrons, which is lovely. So we'll mention a few names in a second, and we've got quite a few. I'll be honest with you, freebie followers.
Yeah, they're dipping the toe in.
They're dipping the toe in.
I think they're kind of like flirting with the idea. They're like, I could get this.
Come on, don't be tight.
I always do this when I'm buying things as well. I will...
You dip your toe in?
Yeah. No, I will... Especially for like a big ticket item, which I consider us a big ticket item. I will open it up and have a tab open on my phone. I'll just keep revisiting it and looking at it. I don't put it in my basket. I just keep looking at it.
I'm the opposite.
Really? Do you just buy it?
Don't overthink it.
So I always go back to it and I keep looking and thinking, I would like that.
This is why I've ended my last 3 cars I didn't want. Really. Hate them.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, I'm sure that eventually we can convert those free members into fully paid up reprobates.
But yeah, come and join us, man. Come and join us on the Patreon. Just a few quid a month, and it helps us fund the channel, do new stuff, get around, create new content, expand.
I was reading our tier structure, and I was kind of a bit confused about our own offering.
Okay.
Because we've got like a big checklist on there, and I think even some of the stuff on there, I was even like, Paul, what is this? What are we saying? This live event VIP. I was like,
you don't need to know.
No, I'll leave that. I'll leave that to you.
They'll get value for money. That's all they need to know.
They'll get their value for money. But I think let's take people a whistle-stop tour through the tiers.
Okay.
So you can start at £2 a month, and that is the Barlow.
That's a bargain.
Yeah.
Barlow is a reference to, of course, the mighty Ken Barlow and his receptacle of choice when he's having a drink in the Rover's Return.
Yes,
which is a half-pint dimpled handled glass,
and it must be dimpled.
It must be dimpled, so that's the Barlow. But we've now just we've adopted that to mean any half pint.
Yeah, I mean, if you can put it in a Barlow glass, then absolutely do.
Barlow of tipper, please, landlord.
Yeah. Oh, yes. And with that, you will get access to all of the exclusive content that we do. So when we say exclusive content, we mean a podcast that we're doing now. We're doing an extra podcast called The Drip Tray.
Nice.
So there'll be a new episode of that every month or whenever we do one of these, because we film it immediately afterwards. Mm-hmm. So we're usually a bit more lubricated, usually a bit more loose-lipped.
Easily malleable.
Yes. Yeah. And yeah, so we've got that. On top of that, you will also get all of the content that we have, like some of our new content that we're doing, which is, for instance, People in Beer, which is a new series that we've got coming.
Yep.
You'll get the extended cuts of those if we've decided to shorten them down for...
Which we will.
YouTube.
Yeah.
So you'll get the full extended versions of those podcasts.
Yeah. And extended versions of whatever else we come across, really, which we think deserves a wider audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So whenever we go and do our Meet the Brewery interviews, we traditionally always interview those for like about an hour before we move on, and that gets cut down quite heavily. But we'll just have the full versions for our paid up Patreons there to look at.
Yep.
Also, member live streams is another thing that we're going to be doing. We're going to wait until we kind of reach a bit of a critical mass with it. So let's say from like 10 upwards.
Yeah, we need the people. So yeah, we need to get a small little eager community engaged, and then we'll kick that off, and we'll start having some virtual parties, I think.
Yeah. Then if you want to spend a little bit more money, you can go up to £4 a month.
Jesus.
£4 something a month. I don't know. It depends. I'm confused by the dollars and the...
Yeah,
and the puns.
Yeah, it is set at a pound value, but we only see. It's weird, isn't it, Patreon? Because as a channel, you keep seeing the currency fluctuations.
Yeah.
So every time we look at our own offerings, it keeps going up and down based on the American currency.
It's an absolute nightmare.
Which is bizarre, really.
Because if Donald Trump keeps some of these tariffs, the dollar could be worth very little. Well, that's his plan, I think. He just wants to go full crypto. But yeah, if you want to join on the £4 tier, which is the Ronker. So
yes.
Another word that we're trying to force into public discourse. Yeah. Is ronk.
Yeah.
Which is to have a good sniff or to have a nice little sip on...
Have a good honk of your beer before you give it a go. But it also means cheers as well now.
It does, good ronking.
Good ronking, sir.
And that will get you all of those things in the aforementioned tier. But you'll also get access to the private chat that we've got. We've got a little thing called the Hangout, where it's essentially like a direct messaging thing. So all attached through Patreon.
It's just the cool kids.
Yep. What else is what else is in there?
That's it.
Oh, there's also stuff. This is the other stuff I was telling you about, though, where you get like it says
Oh no, yeah,
exclusive voting rights, and I'm like, what?
yeah. So we're gonna do loads of polls and stuff about content, and there'll be people you want us to speak to, brewers you want us to visit, beers you want us to try. So that'll be exclusive to the higher tiers.
Yep. And then also, if you want to jump up to the Hop Lord category, which is £8, that will put you onto a higher echelon of existence.
Yes, you'll actually just transcend time and space.
Yeah, you will wake up smelling like Nelson Sauvin.
Yes,
or another hop of your choice.
Yes. Well, you won't smell of anything because smell just won't have any impact on you. You'll just be ambient.
But you will get all of those things aforementioned in that, and then you will also get a pin badge, which you're currently trying to sort.
Yeah, pin badge, which we're trying to get sorted.
I'm also going to throw in a glass. I think we're getting some glasses done.
Don't overpromise.
We'll
talk about glass that later. Yes, but also you get 10.
Hop Lords, you'll be getting a glass.
So you get 10% off our merch as well on our t-shirt store. So if you want to buy some stuff, let us know when you're on the highest tier, and we'll send you the discount code.
Cool.
And also obviously get the power of a god.
Yeah. And also you get a member shout out.
And a pin badge.
Yeah.
Power of a god and a pin badge.
Speaking of which, member shout out. So who has joined this last week?
I'll have a look at our members list, which I've got here. The first blood went to Mr. Luke Aldersley.
Luke Aldersley, hello. Welcome.
Hello, Luke. Luke's a long-time stalker who jumped the gun somewhat because he actually signed up way before we'd actually officially launched the Patreon. So that was nice.
Signed up like the beginning of February, and we're like, whoa.
Well, hold your horses, cowboy.
You're making us do things now. We're contractually obliged to do something.
Christ, we're going to have to think about this a bit more. But
that was good. That was the kick up the arse that we needed.
So thank you, Luke. You're a legend and a gentleman and a scholar. And also, now you have the power of a god. So use that wisely.
Yeah.
And then we've also got our good friend, Seabass.
Good old Sebastian Seabass.
Seb. Sebastian, who works down at Off the Square.
In Stow in the Wold. Cotswolds.
Which is a cracking little bar and tap room. And he's been a good supporter of us. So, again, Seabass, thank you very much. And enjoy your omnipotence.
Yes, we will. I need to go down and visit
It's lovely.
Yeah.
Just don't go down on a bank holiday weekend or a weekend or any day that ends in a Y, because that place is tourist hotspot. It's lovely, and that's the reason why it's busy.
It looks absolutely sublime.
Tiny little Cotswold village. Beautiful. Lots of really nice shops and eateries and places to eat and drink, and it is full of coaches of tourists. But it is every time we've gone down. So
I'm going to have to flout your advice now. I'm going to go.
Oh, go down. Just be prepared to park slightly down the road.
Yeah,
and walk in.
I'll get the limo. It's fine. Was it the chopper? I don't know.
Well, Seabass will be able to just click his fingers and you'll be there because he's
got the power.
He's got the power of.
Well, maybe I don't.
Dr. Manhattan from The Watchmen.
Maybe I don't want him to, because I've been watching Yellowstone now, and
Yogi Bear.
In Yellowstone, everyone just travels around in helicopters because it's so big.
Do they?
Yeah, like Kevin Costner and his posse. They're just around in helicopters.
I've only watched a few episodes of that, and that's the end of my story.
It's like Dallas meets Succession.
God, that's a good description. I didn't get that out of it.
It's very soapy.
Yeah,
it's like everything is just there's like a new predicament every minute, like a bit of drama, or someone's in a fight, or someone's dying. Or
do you imagine if they just did like a real high budget drama series, but they just didn't do any drama, and it was just like nothing of any consequence happened. It was just the workings of a farm. But
that would probably like win Emmys.
And it's not made up stuff like Clarkson's Farm, which is made up for views, but
just the real tedious stuff
and tax implications.
Indeed.
But yeah, just really mundane, boring shit.
I think that there's probably a YouTuber out there that does that.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
But starring Kevin Costner.
Starring Kevin Costner. Good. Okay. Well, sign up to the Patreon if you can, because that would help.
That would really help. Yeah.
I'm gonna give a shout out to Andrew Burns as well, who's joined at the £2 tier.
Oh yes, this week. Yeah, I noticed
because I'm going to do it because he's the third paying one.
Yeah, nice.
So I'm gonna shout out to all 10, the first 10.
Yeah, not you freebie lurkers. We can see you.
You've got us in your basket. And you're waiting to purchase us.
I'm just fretting over the purchase.
We're a big ticket item. That's. What do we think? Yeah. What do we think about this burnt mill beer?
You know what?
I think this is.
You poured it and you didn't tell us what it was, but yeah, burnt mill, Fields of Nelson, which is, as you'd expect, a Nelson Sauvin IPA. They call their IPAs fog IPAs, don't they?
Yeah.
I'm not sure why. I guess it's just because they're just hazy and.
I'm gonna insist that we go and see them because I love their beer and also. I think they've got an interesting story to tell because aren't they a woman-led brewery?
They are, and this is out of a bruiser box I had, and everyone's been a banger.
Burnt mill.
Oh, how strong is this, by the way? 6%.
Lovely. We haven't gone too silly on ABV this time. I think the next two are like 7%.
Yeah, there's no dippers or anything like that.
We can deal with that. Well then, let's have a short ad break.
Sup Hop Lords, I'm Chris.
And I'm Paul, and we are Planet Beer TV.
Yep, and we are a YouTube channel that make fun, irreverent and informative craft beer content. And guess what?
We've got a Patreon!
Hooray!
So head over to the link in the description and find out how to become a member.
By doing this, you will help us make bigger content, better content, and you will also get some member exclusives along the way.
So come and join the Planet Beer TV community.
The water's warm.
Not like the beer.
Welcome to part 2.
Let's fuck this pig.
Okay, yeah. What an entry.
That's what she said.
Jesus. Okay, that's one way to start it. Now, next beer, I am on to what is possibly some of the best artwork I've ever seen. I love this.
Do you think?
I love it. I would have that on a shirt. I'll just wear a shirt that looks like that.
Hippie.
What we have here is Unbarred Dank juice. So this is
classic.
This is something they do every year. This is where they use they use marijuana terpenes in there with their hops to give a very skunky smelling beer. Cheers, everyone.
I used to date a girl called Mariana Turpins.
That's a lovely name. Is that a joke that I don't get?
No.
Was that actually a name?
It was Mariana Trumans, actually. But it sounds enough like it for it to remind me.
So it wasn't terpenes at all?
No. Be good though, wouldn't it?
I mean,
what is a terpene?
I mean, let's not get ourselves into it.
Wasn't he a highwayman?
Dick Terpene, that'd be a good beer name.
That's what I did.
Good.
It's getting silly. Right, let's have a look. Hang on. Is this always the same hops?
I believe so, yes. They release this every year.
Yeah, no, don't. Maybe.
February time.
Maybe. But yeah, it's Cashmere, Chinook, Citra, and Mosaic triple dry hopped. And it's 7%, as you said. And it's Unbarred in Brighton. And we've visited them and they're lovely.
Yep.
Boom.
Brett, Jordan, lovely. Great team down there. Right, can you smell marijuana on this?
There's a bit of dankness going on. A lot of dankness going on.
It's not as dank as Ziggy, though. I'd go that far.
Ziggy being a double IPA that's brewed in collaboration with Baron.
Absolutely. You'll be hearing more about that on the live stream.
There's a shitload of it behind us.
Yeah.
You're watching you bullied Jackie to send you a new box.
We had to pay for it, but but I did. There it is.
Nice.
I'd say 24 cans, but we're going to be having one of the cans on the drip tray shortly, so that should be fun. Right, let's give this let's fuck this pig, as you'd say.
I do say that. It's not as dank as I remember it being last year.
No, last year there was definitely like a real hit of ganja,
but I actually prefer that. I think that's a cracker.
So it's lovely, yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
That's just a good beer, man. Well done, Unbarred.
Yeah, and well done on the artwork. I bloody love it.
I'm indifferent to the artwork.
Yeah.
But, I don't care.
That's a good thing about it, though. We can have different opinions.
No, you can't. No. Right. Speaking of opinions.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
No. What we're talking about now isn't going to be opinions. It's going to be news, which is fact.
Yeah, but we can have opinions on it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah. Okay, so
unless we're living in some kind of fascist state, all of a sudden.
We could be soon.
Yeah.
One thing I did want to talk about, actually, but then I decided it wasn't really relevant enough to us. With Trump whacking the tariffs on with Canada and Mexico,
yep,
that's the implications for that really for craft beer. I was thinking, what could the implications be?
Yeah.
Because on one of the Facebook brewing professionals groups, which I've slid into, even though I'm not a brewing professional, is
sidled your way in.
Someone was asking about what it might mean for hops, American hops.
Don't know.
And the consensus was kind of like, well, for people outside of America, it won't mean much because the tariffs, they're going to pay them. So it would be on hops that are being imported.
Yeah, but anyway, let's see how it goes. But retaliation after retaliation at the moment.
But the one thing it is going to do
have an impact on something
is it's going to make craft beer more expensive there because aluminium is one of the main things that's being tariffed.
Aluminum.
Or aluminum. And obviously this stuff is all generally in aluminium cans or aluminum cans. And yeah, that's I think they get a lot of their grain also from Mexico and stuff. So, that sort of stuff isn't going to help. Tariffs aren't really going to help American people.
I don't think tariffs are going to help anybody. Really?
Well, that's just like your opinion, man. I do not care enough as it hasn't affected us yet.
I might put a preemptive tariff on Donald Trump.
That could be handy.
Yeah. Should we do that?
Yeah. Shall we?
For £10 a month on our Patreon, you can put a preemptive tariff on Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds sensible.
What could go wrong? Obviously, it's no more outlandish than the shit he's been saying all week anyway.
That's true. Right, so into the first real news item that I've got, which is...
What you got there?
Beer sales are down in Germany and the US.
Okay.
So, essentially, not just that we've been seeing a trend of beer being less popular in the US, craft beer. And that's probably because, they've got their macro breweries really giving them a pounding. I think there's probably been a thing over there where they've had macro breweries kind of buying up smaller ones. But
there's a bit of that, but there's a shitload of craft brewers still, though, isn't there?
There is.
It's like obscene amounts, really.
But also, it does feed into different drinking habits. And America, kind of, who cares to some degree? Because they're not the canary in the coal mine, are they? That would be the place where they're like the home of beer, which is, for instance, Germany. Germany, apparently, is seeing a slump as well.
Which is interesting because it's so ingrained, isn't it?
Yeah.
Are we seeing the impact of global cost of living here? Or is this just...
I think this is actually more to do with the new generation of drinkers coming through. So this is...
I don't know, this new generation of non-drinkers.
So although you're starting to see demand for beer go down in both of these places, and let's face it, if it's in both of those places, it's probably going to be in the UK as well.
Yeah.
What we are starting to see now is an increase in either low alcohol beverages or beverages that aren't necessarily beer, like your hard seltzers or whatever. And this also brought me onto something else which I found quite interesting because I don't know how this happened, but it's just a quirk of Instagram. But Yakima Valley Hops somehow sent everyone that follows them, presumably, a poll through their DMs, which is what we kind of received. And they were asking how people in the beer industry are responding to the rising demand for low and no alcohol beers or different beverages, alternative beverages as they call them. And they had 4 response options. They had experimenting with hop waters and teas. That was the most popular with 18 votes, last I checked. The second one was I'm not changing anything. That's 14 votes, so very close. The third option was watching the trend but not jumping in yet, sort of like our freebie Patreon subscribers. That was 7 votes. And then number 4, already added non-alcoholic options, mate, and that was 5 votes. So what I found interesting about that is there's already, the majority out there are still very much resilient and kind of not buying into this low alcohol thing.
Yeah. I mean, this it's probably quite a close sample group, though, isn't it? By default, anyway.
Yeah, I mean that needs to be heavily caveated.
Yeah, I was going to say. I mean, it's not a fair spread, I think, of interest, is it? To get a good assumption, but
it does show that experimentation is the most popular choice, though.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's hard to deny the rise of non-traditional beverages.
Yeah.
Although I don't think they're taking off in any way that's going to give anyone who's not interested in beer an alternative.
No.
I think they probably just won't drink that either, because hard seltzers seem to only be drank by people who work in tap rooms
Yeah.
instead of drinking the beer all day. Teas, and I know bubble tea's a thing, but apart from that,
Why haven't you got like kombuchas as well or something?
Yeah. But that's completely separated from the beer world anyway. That's just his own thing. You know?
Yeah. I think what it does show, though, is that this non-alcohol or low-no revolution, which is undoubtedly going to be
that's the big one. Yeah.
But it's happening gradually. It's not happening. It's not a revolution. It's not suddenly everyone down your dippers and jump on the alcohol-free train.
It's happening enough across the board to have a noticeable impact. You know, horror stories of pubs closing on a daily basis. You know? And that is down to obviously cost of living, financial issues we're having, but that's definitely down to, you know, a new generation of people who drink differently or don't drink anywhere near as much.
Yeah.
As we definitely did and our forefathers did. I'm going to use forefathers.
Forefathers.
Yeah, it makes me sound a bit more fancy.
Dun, 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 dun.
So yeah, we'll see.
I think also
it's
breweries are kind of combating with lower alcohol beverages. Like you're seeing a lot more in the way of session strength.
I'm definitely coming around to it a lot more in the fact that I'm, you know, if I go find myself in the Hop Vault, for example, on a weekday, I will have a non-alcoholic beer sometimes.
I snuck in earlier and I ended up having the Run-Free Left-Handed Giant.
Nice.
Had a pint of that
Yeah.
as they had it on tap.
I wouldn't have done that a year ago. Now I've started to. And our friend, who's quite a famous, or becoming famous on the social media for the Sober Boozers Club, he sent us some cans, which he says are the best.
We should have featured that in this.
I know, I forgot about it. I've got those hanging around. I was going to bring them, but I'm looking forward to that because I've been told they're like top end. They're as good as any IPAs on the market.
Was it like We Are Your Friends or something?
We Are Your Friends, yeah. So it's happening, and I'm certainly getting sold on it a lot more.
Second news item I've got here, and this came under. This is from the Times, so it's very responsible.
Ooh, I've grown up.
Admiral Taverns profits rise on investment and acquisitions. So Admiral Taverns are a Cheshire-based landlord, essentially, a pub company. Essentially, this article was posited as, look at how good this is for pubs, because Admiral Taverns are making an absolute killing. The profits are going up. They're acquiring properties and the profits are going up.
Look what you're making me do to you.
But then it had this thing saying, its gaming machines are quite useful stream of income for both the licensee and us, said a guy called Josie, highlighting that the Chester-based company makes about 8 million from the machines a year.
Holy shit! So just gambling.
Yeah. So and when you look at
drunk people
the profit,
gambling,
the profit number that they give in the article, which I can't see because it's paywalled. I had to use like 12-foot ladder for it. But it's essentially 15% of their income. So now, imagine that. You're like a pub company, but 15% of your profits is actually coming from gambling machines and fruities.
Yeah, taking advantage of piss people as well.
I just found that an absolutely astonishing stat.
I'm glad you said that, because I'm not going to take anyone seriously who calls them gambling machines and not fruities. They're fruities.
One-armed bandits.
I've gone the fruity, mate. One-armed bandits.
One-armed bandits.
Like in Vegas or a carny fair in the 12th century. Fucking hell. One-armed bandits.
But yeah, I just found that interesting. I mean, I don't know if there are any Admiral Tavern pubs around nearby us.
I think they're buying up a load of the old Marston's places, aren't they?
Oh, well, fuck them.
Fuck them.
Yeah.
Just what a scummy story. That doesn't feel good. That's just sad.
it's like walking past the betting shops on plural, the betting shops on the high street, isn't it? Just that's busy.
Conversely, though, I did read the other day. I don't know how true this is, but most of Ladbrokes profits come from double IPAs. So it balances itself out.
No, that's a story. This one, Paul, I'm going to let you take this one because you've got a little story about this. But this is your news item.
Oh, yeah. Okay, good one. Yeah. Interesting. So there's another... Well, they are on YouTube, but they're more of a radio-based beer content provider called Alan Radio, led by the very affable Jimbo. He's only got one name, and it's Jimbo. That's all you need to know. Jimbo. So, they're a 24/7 beer-based radio station, and they're really rather wonderful. And I came across them on Instagram, started listening to their radio shows. It's all music and beer themed stuff, and they're a good bunch of guys. But
why are they in the news, Paul?
Yeah, so they're doing a collab beer with Bayonets.
We featured them on the channel before.
We've had Bayonet on before, so I think they've done a couple of collabs. I think they've done one recently with Overtone as well, which I never got my hands on, but that was meant to be really good. But yeah, this one's up with Bayonet, and it's pertinent because I was on their poddy.
Well, it's that the thing is also to mark 1 year. The collabs to mark 1 year of their being alive.
1 year, because again they've spent 30 years being one.
Yeah,
which is
a lot like us.
But yeah, I was on their podcast last week. Well, this week was it last week or this week? I can't remember. Last week.
It was last week. I couldn't make that because I was just locked into some work stuff.
And you weren't invited.
Work stuff. It was just horrible.
So that was good. So I had a good chat with Jimbo, and I think that's on their show now. So
whenever they released that, I think it was like on a Friday morning, was it something like that?
They roll out their new shows and on a Friday, and they just roll it across the week.
When they released that, I saw that it had gone live, and the first thing I was doing while I was making some tea and croissants.
You made croissants?
I didn't make them. I just warmed them up. But I was listening.
I built a house.
I was listening to.
I just put the heating on.
I was listening to you on that radio station, and I was like making sure that you didn't put a foot wrong. And generally, you didn't. You did get something wrong, but
what did I get wrong?
You said that our first video was with Verdant, which was a slip because it was with Cloudwater.
Oh, shit, yeah.
You described Cloudwater, but it was, you said Verdant. But I mean, that's easily done. We've all
no one's ever heard of him anyway.
Missaid things. And then I've got this other news item here, which is a Doombar special, because this is bad news. Trinity Brew. So this is a local brewery to us-ish, Lichfield, about an hour away. Definitely closer to me when I used to live in Cannock, because I'm originally from Cannock. They've closed after 4 years. So they posted at the beginning of Feb, I think it was on mid-Feb. They said basically it's kind of been a long time coming. And they described an incident which I found absolutely baffling, that they had... Due to a mechanical fault in the brewery, they had 6,000 litres of beer lost.
Ooh.
Which I think when you see that as a number, you're like, wow, that's a lot of beer. But then when you actually put that into a frame of reference for a small business or a small brewery, if you put £5 a pint on that 6,000 litres, that's £50,000.
Yeah.
And name me one business that would be able to just, take that on the chin. £50,000 cash flow lost. Yeah.
Nah, that's untenable.
So I think
Is that what definitively finished them off then?
they didn't say it was exactly just that, but that was an example that they laid in there, which I found perhaps the most insightful, really. Because I think once something like that happens, you're always going to be playing catch-up, aren't you? We've seen with
vast, yeah.
when we've been to breweries, the brewing schedules need to be absolutely cock-on to keep things ticking over.
Yeah.
And obviously you've got commitments and stuff to the people that you're selling to.
Who'd be a brewer?
I never actually went to visit Trinity, but I will.
I did.
I'll miss them all the same, because it's sad when another brewery goes
Mourn their passing.
down the Swan.
That's a shame. Oh well, yeah. Sorry to that, Trinity guys. Things will happen for you again, I am sure.
And final news article for the evening. I quite liked this one. InBev UK named as one of the worst payers.
Oh, what a lovely story.
Yeah. But it's exactly what you'd expect from the people that own Budweiser and, that kind of shithousery. So it turns out that despite recently seeing a surge in profits, beer giant AB InBev is still taking around 4 months to pay its suppliers.
Yep. I mean, and suppliers are inevitably going to be small business, and they'll just have them over a barrel.
Classic bully boy tactics.
And they'll pay late. They'll strip out as much profit margin for that supplier as possible. They'll just fuck them over, and quite frankly, I hope they all die in a fire.
Okay, well, all that and more.
Or a car crash. I'm indifferent.
A plane?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, the crashes are debatable.
Yes.
We yeah.
Oh, what was that about profits there? So just scrolling through this article, it says something. Cost management also drove margin expansion, producing a 10.1% rise in fourth quarter profits for them. So not only are they in this industry, which everyone's suffering, increasing their profits, they're also dicking people over more and more as well, which is right on brand, isn't it?
It's exactly what you'd expect.
Yeah. I hope all your fruities malfunction.
Yeah, fuckers. Well, that was good. Let's finish this beer and get on to the last one for the evening, where we've got a lovely hot topic up for debate.
Oh, sweet. Right, I'm going to pour a beer. So I bought an American beer.
Hooray!
From my own collection. And this is from a brewery I've not tried before. This is Electric Brewing.
Nice.
And I'd like to tell you where they're from. Found it. They're in Marietta in California.
Oh wow, this is a Californian American. You don't see those often.
You don't see them often, no. So this is good. And this is an IPA. It's called Rabid Revenge, and it's 7.6%. And that's all it says.
Come on, we're going to fuck this pig or what?
You can't keep overusing
it. It's just what a phrase. I think if we can get Ronk and the Barlow into common nomenclature, let's get that in there as well. What I really want to hear is just someone just saying to their partner, "Come on, we're going to fuck this pig or what?"
But it has to be like.
It has to be the right way. You have to use it in the right context.
You have to
not the David Cameron context.
You have to use it like a really non-incidental kind of everyday activity.
Yeah.
Like going shopping, picking your kid up from school, that kind of thing.
Come on, we're going to fuck this pig or what? I'm going to stop saying it. But yes, so what we're going to do now in this final little segment is we are going to have a little bit of maybe a debate. I don't know. It depends where we kind of fall on this argument. But this is about Beartown Brewery. So Beartown Brewery from Cheshire, Congleton, which always makes me laugh when I hear it. Congleton. But yes, so essentially they got themselves into, I suppose, hot water within the industry for allowing the renting of their brewery event space, to host the local Reform Party gathering.
Oh, have a word, Beartown.
Now, this has obviously gone down like
A cup of cold sick.
with a shit in it.
A tramp on chips.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the craft beer community, with many saying that reform are Nazis and Beartown should, I don't know, burn down or something because of it. I think it's all very much a storm in a teacup, if you ask me, Paul. But I know that you might have different views.
No,
on this.
I think there's completely reactionary attacks, as there are on every social forum, let's be honest. The extreme views do come out. So, as I get older, I get much less libertarian about all this stuff, to be honest with you. And I kind of look at everything through the sort of prism of history a little bit. And do I think Beartown should have allowed Reform to hire their venue for a political event? No. Now, you're going to say a completely opposite view to this, I know. And the reason I don't think they should have is purely because what's happening in the world at this point. There is a normalisation of the far right at the moment. And make no mistake, Reform are far right.
Mm-hmm.
They just are.
Yeah, I don't. They're socially far right for sure.
And that normalisation is allowing things like far right mouthpieces to become more prevalent, and they fucking shouldn't be. I mean, maybe it's just me, but when I was a kid, punching Nazis in the face was.
Or signing up to the National Front as you did in Smethwick that one time.
Again, that was a mistake, and I didn't know what was happening. I did not sign up to the National Front, everybody. This is a story that's been done before. It just so happened I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Anyway. So I think... Do I think calling for Beartown to be closed down and burnt down and fucking, all the harassment they're getting is right? No. Do I think venues should be putting up a front to stop far-right parties mouthing off their ridiculous views? I think they should be stopped.
That's fair enough.
And that's my take on. And I think if we weren't in the situation we are now, globally, with things becoming such a pressure cooker, I'd probably have a more relaxed view on it. Yeah. As it stands, I'm getting quite agitated how these people are allowed to speak up, to be honest.
Yeah, I get that, and I think that's you've put a pretty reasonable point there, which I kind of agree with as well to some degree. But then there is just that niggling thing about it that I'm just like, the one thing I do agree with, maybe in the moment that we're in, where everything is becoming more normalised, this doesn't necessarily help. But there is also the other element of, if you are going to start to just completely marginalise, completely fine and completely democratic legal opinions, then you're not going to make things go away. That doesn't go away. When you've got things like what's happened in Germany recently with, the AfD coming second now, they are actual Nazis. Mm. They're literally the successors to the Nazis. And I'm in two minds there as well, because they've got the firewall, which means that no one, despite them getting the second most amount of votes, no one will work with them, so therefore they'll get frozen out, which basically just disenfranchises like 25% of the population who voted for them. Mm. That to me isn't democracy. That's not fair. And that doesn't make these horrible opinions go away. What this does is puts them in a pressure cooker where you basically say, you're not really allowed to think that. And you can think that, but you're never going to be represented on a mainstream level. Bring that back over to Beartown. I don't know. I completely think that they should be allowed to let out their community space to represent the community that they've got, which is essentially what they're... I don't know if he's the owner or what, but it's not Joe at Beartown. He came onto the UK Beer and Brewing Professionals group.
He was getting his ass kicked on those forums, by the way. I do feel for him a little bit in that regard.
But yeah, he basically came out saying that Beartown Brewery is a politically neutral space, but our event space is a social thing that represents the community as a whole. Now, I think that's a bit muddled, if I'm honest.
You can't. There's no black and white here, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, if you're perfectly happy to take their money, then it's. I personally would have allowed it, but I would also have told them that my taproom is subject to dynamic pricing. so maybe they just pay a lot more for their beer. Yeah. But come on in.
The more their views get a little bit. Hang on a minute, mate. The higher their prices go. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel for them being caught into this spot because, the craft beer community loves nothing more than to talk about inclusivity and everything else. But, sometimes there's this aspect of it's only inclusivity with people that we kind of want to agree with.
Kind of, but also inclusivity from my point of view, looking when people say that, it just means it's fucking laziness. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a label they've slapped on to say, oh, can't be bothered to have a thought either way. Again, if... It is really frustrating. I agree with what you're saying, that people should be allowed to view their democratic viewpoints in public forums, and you're absolutely right. However, as I said, we're in a very turbulent time where you don't have to be particularly well read to understand that Brexit, Donald Trump, the rise of the Reform Party, Peter Thiel, fucking Nigel Farage, all these people are interlinked. It's all coming from the same place. It's all coming from a incredibly well organised global push to destabilise, modern democracy and go for a globalist attack on everybody's rights and freedoms. And I hate to hate to bring it down to that level, but I think everyone needs to be aware of this and reform. Make no mistake about this, reform are the bad guys. These are absolutely pushing forward an agenda which is going to devastate the world, and they're going to do their part to help make that happen. And with that in mind, no, reform shouldn't give platform anywhere to speak. Certainly in... You can't say in private spaces, can you? Because that's not my place to say. But if you've got any fucking dignity or any respect, I don't think you should be giving them a platform. I really don't, personally. And
Fair enough.
In fact, I think you should punch them.
Well, I mean, I don't feel strongly enough about them to defend them, so I think let's draw a line under that. I think we've done well there.
There's two views. So anyway,
well, that was nice. That was nice to have a bit of discourse. That's how to successfully debate having had some beers. And
I'd like to end friendly discourse on threats of extreme violence as well. So
I've noticed.
Yeah.
What do we think of this beer?
Yeah, so I've never had this brewery before. So Electric Brewing, Rabid Revenge from California. That's great.
I really like it. It's really soft.
It's very soft, very American chewy.
Doesn't taste 7%.
Doesn't taste 7%. And yeah, it's a big, juicy, chewy, sweet Californian IPA. Good for them.
Absolutely delicious.
Nice beer.
Actually, the more I'm thinking about it, that's probably beer of the night.
Yeah. I really like the Burnt Mill, actually.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, all of these, although they've all been pale, very much in the same wheelhouse.
I was going to say, I'm feeling a bit hopped out, to be honest.
For those who are Patreon subscribers, you'll be able to watch the drip tray, and that's...
We've got to do that now, haven't we?
We've got to film that now, but essentially we're going to drink a can of Ziggy Stardust... Stardog, sorry.
Oh my God.
Wash my mouth out with Ziggy soap. We're going to drink a can of Ziggy Stardog and review it, but then Luke's going to write our review in shorthand.
Yeah, so if you're not a Patreon member, you won't get to see or listen to Luke, who we commented on earlier is getting wider.
He's getting wider. Yeah.
Light's bending around him now. He's getting so hench.
He's basically just starting to, he's starting to fill out. He's spending all of his time in the gym or recording our podcasts.
He's starting to fill out. He said, he's growing up now. He's starting to fill out a bit.
He's filling out now.
He spent 15 years being 5, and now he's starting to fill out. So come and join us on Patreon, and come and see Blue filling the whole screen.
Absolutely. And if you're in the market for some beer mats, then head over to Mosaic Board Printers, because Nathan will sort you out a really good deal.
I've heard they are the UK's premium beer mat manufacturer.
They're the best. And you know what? If you've got yourself a Bruiser box coming, which is the Planet Beer TV and Baron box, which is going to be there for the live stream drink along, you'll have a beer mat in there. At least one. I don't know. Jack might pack more than one. I guess he'll just throw them in.
I think we massively overprinted, so he probably have a couple in there. So,
yeah,
nice.
Hopefully. We'll tell him not to skimp.
Yeah. So come and join us, man. Come and join us on that. And if we don't speak to you beforehand, look after yourselves.
Yeah.
And don't rent out your house to reform.
No, yeah. Just don't do it. I mean, even in the interest of free speech, it's not worth the hassle.
No, they leave crumbs.
But if you do, subject to dynamic pricing. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
The Fantasy Beer Name podcast is brought to you by Planet Beer TV. This episode was recorded by Luke Bartlett. Thanks once again to our wonderful sponsors, Mosaic Board Printers.